welcome to the Ohloops YouTube channel. I am Lydia. I normally co-host the KPDR podcast on this channel. So if you're looking for those episodes, that's not what this is. I decided to do something fun and have project vlogs, which will just be shorter episodes where I focus on one project that I'm working on that's kind of a larger project. So this is the very first one of those. And you can find me on Ravelry as Lydia B and on Instagram as Lydia Knits. And then you can find my indie yarn company as Ohloops on Instagram and Facebook, and then also as Ohloops Ravelry group, and then at ohloops.com. So let's get started. Today we're going to be talking about the I Smell Snow Shawl by Melody Hoffman. I'm loving this pattern. So here's a quick picture. I cast this pattern on I believe February 1st. It is now well into March, but don't take that as a sign of the difficulty, I guess, of the pattern. The pattern is extremely easy and very enjoyable. I've just been working on other things. So, but let's talk about it. So it does require two different, well, it doesn't require, it's recommended that you use two different colorways. And it says that you'll need 2 skeins of color A and 2 skeins of color B. So she says yarn, 2 skeins of 400 grams or equivalent fingering weight for the first one, and the second one she had 436. So she does recommend that if you are using 2 skeins of yarn that have different yardage, that you use the one that has the most yardage first. No, excuse me, the one that has the least amount of yardage first, so that when you get to the halfway point or when you get to the end of those, you can start your decreases at that point so that you don't have more of one color than the other. She's using US size 6 needles in her pattern. Gauge is 24 stitches by 25 rows equals 4 inches in garter stitch after blocking, and the finished dimension should be 38 by 38. So it makes a perfect diamond shape here, or square, depending on how you want to look at it. So one skein does this side, or one colorway, excuse me, and one colorway does that side. So for mine, I'm using 2 skeins. I keep saying skeins, forgive me. I keep using that word instead of colorways. So I'm using 2 colorways that I dyed. So the first one is the Angela colorway, which was from my Practical Magic, and it's on my Ascot base, which is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 400 yards. And it's just this really pretty, like, sand, natural silver base, and it has these fun speckles of color, so browns and grays and some really dark teal. So this is my first side, and then I'll be pairing it with 2 skeins of the Ghosts in the Cellar colorway, which you're not really getting a true accurate representation. That's a little better. It's this really pretty kind of champagne-y color with kind of some gray and dusty rose undertones. And this is on my Siberian sock base, which has silk in it, so it's so squishy and just fun. So I think it will just be beautiful together, very neutral. Will go with everything, can even match what I have on today. So I have currently done the setup section, and I'm working on the first half, and I have completed the first eyelet section, and I'm now working on the second eyelet section. I believe there are 3 eyelet sections before you get to the center. So this is what I've done so far. And I absolutely love it. So I am using Hiya Sharps, US size 6. So I am using the needle that is recommended in the pattern, and I did get gauge. So that makes me happy. And it's just so squishy and soft, and I love the little detail of the eyelets. I mean, it's just very subtle. And then my favorite detail of the entire thing is this beautiful slipped stitch detail that is on the border. I absolutely love that. So it's coming right along. I'm really enjoying it. I've been housing it in my beautiful knitting gnome bag from the Fat Squirrel. And it's the perfect project for that bag. And it's been a perfect project for this kind of overcast, gloomy fall, you know, headed into spring season that we're having here in Spokane. So yes, if you have not knit this pattern, I absolutely 100% recommend it. My one tip with this pattern is kind of my little knitter's confession. I've been knitting for such a long time that I kind of sometimes just assume that I know what the designer wants when I see an abbreviation in a pattern. You should always read what they want you to do with their stitch abbreviations. She had a knit front and back abbreviation, but it was all capitalized. I didn't really think anything of the capitalization, and when I first got cast onto it, it took me probably 10 or 15 tries, and I could not get the numbers to work out. I'm like, okay, this cannot be this difficult. Lots of people have knit this pattern. What am I doing wrong? And so finally, I was like, well, I'm gonna go read. And so I went back and read the abbreviations, and she has you do something very different with her knit front and back. So read all of the instructions, guys. Read the instructions. Don't be like me. Don't just assume you know what you're doing, because there are people who are way smarter than me. So yes, but I'm loving it. I highly recommend it. And I'm gonna keep working on it, and the next time you guys see me, I will hopefully have more progress to show you. That's kind of the point of this. It's just kind of to take you along for the ride when I work on a bigger project. So thanks for joining me on my first project vlog, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.